What happens inside a narcissist when you stop giving them attention? You stop checking on them. You stop responding immediately. You stop watching their every move. You stop reacting to their posts. You stop asking where they are. You stop trying to prove that you care. And suddenly, something feels different. They may notice that the attention they once received from you is no longer there. But here's the part most people misunderstand. The question isn't simply, do they miss me? The more important question is, do they miss me, or do they miss what my attention gave them? Because attention can mean different things in different relationships. For some people, attention means connection, affection, and genuine intimacy. But for someone with strong narcissistic traits, attention may also provide validation, reassurance, admiration, emotional reactions, or a sense of influence over another person. So when that attention disappears, the reaction can be confusing. They may suddenly contact you. They may become unusually nice. They may start watching your social media. They may try to make you jealous. They may provoke you. Or they may act as though they don't care at all. So what could actually be happening? Let's break it down. The first thing that may happen is simple. They notice that you're no longer as available as before. Maybe you used to answer every message. Now you don't. Maybe you used to ask how their day was. Now you don't. Maybe you used to react to every post. Now you scroll past it. Maybe you used to spend hours explaining yourself during arguments. Now you simply disengage. That change can be surprisingly powerful. Not because silence is a magical weapon, but because a familiar pattern has changed. If someone was accustomed to receiving a certain amount of attention from you, your sudden absence may become noticeable. And this is where many people make a mistake. They think, they noticed me. That means they must finally understand my value. Not necessarily. Someone noticing your absence does not automatically mean they understand your worth. They may simply be noticing that something they were accustomed to receiving is no longer available. And those are two very different things. Attention can provide validation, compliments, reassurance, affection, quick replies, emotional reactions. Even arguments can sometimes provide attention. Because when you argue with someone, you're still emotionally engaged with them. You're still thinking about them. You're still trying to be understood by them. You're still giving them your energy. So when you stop doing all of that, the person may experience a noticeable change. They may wonder, why aren't they responding anymore? Why don't they seem affected? Why aren't they asking about me? Why don't they seem jealous? Why aren't they trying to fix this? And if someone relied heavily on external validation, that absence may feel uncomfortable. But again, we cannot know exactly what another person is feeling internally. We can only observe their behavior. That's why behavior matters more than guessing what's inside their head. Imagine that someone knows exactly how you normally respond. They know what makes you angry. They know what makes you jealous. They know what makes you reach out. They know what makes you apologize. They know what makes you start explaining yourself. Then one day, none of it works anymore. They say something that would normally trigger an argument. You don't argue. They post something designed to get your attention. You don't react. They send a message expecting an immediate response. You don't rush. That can create uncertainty, because the old pattern is no longer predictable. And sometimes uncertainty is what causes a person to make another attempt at contact. They may send a harmless message. Hey, how have you been? They may ask about something completely unrelated. They may suddenly remember an old inside joke. Or they may simply send, hi, it looks insignificant. But sometimes the real question behind the message is, do I still have access to you? When attention disappears, there may be attempts to test whether the emotional connection is still there. This can happen in subtle ways. They may mention a memory. They may ask whether you're seeing someone. They may react to an old post. They may suddenly become interested in what you're doing, or they may send something emotional. "I was thinking about you. I miss the old days. I hope you're doing okay." These messages can bring back a lot of emotions, especially if you still have feelings. You may start thinking, maybe they finally realize what they lost. Maybe they really miss me. Maybe this is different. And sometimes people genuinely do miss someone. But missing someone is not the same as being capable of having a healthy relationship with them. That's why you should look beyond the message. Ask, what has actually changed? One of the most confusing reactions can be sudden kindness. Someone who used to criticize you may suddenly compliment you. Someone who used to dismiss your feelings may suddenly ask how you're doing. Someone who created constant conflict may suddenly say, "I don't want to fight anymore. I just want peace. I've changed." Again, genuine change is possible. People can learn. People can mature. People can take responsibility. So the answer isn't to automatically label every positive interaction as manipulation. Instead, observe the pattern. Does the kindness continue when you say no? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they accept disagreement? Do they take responsibility without blaming you? Do they change their behavior even when they don't get what they want? Because anyone can behave well for one conversation. Consistency is much harder to fake over time. And if kindness doesn't bring your attention back, the opposite approach may appear. Provocation, a comment, an insult, a subtle comparison, a social media post, a mention of someone else. Something designed to make you think, did they really just say that? And now you're tempted to respond. You want to defend yourself. You want to correct the record. You want to show them that you don't care. But here's the trap. Trying to prove that you don't care can still mean you're emotionally responding. You don't need to prove your indifference. You don't need to demonstrate that you're stronger. You don't need to win the exchange. Sometimes the healthiest response is simply no response. Not because you're playing a game, because there is nothing productive to gain from continuing the cycle. Another possible reaction is jealousy. You may suddenly see them looking happier than ever. New pictures, new friends, new people, new places, a carefully selected post. And your mind immediately starts asking questions. Who is that? Are they dating? Are they happier without me? Why are they showing this? But social media doesn't give you the complete story. You are seeing a moment. Sometimes you're seeing a carefully selected moment. And even if they really are happy, that doesn't diminish your value. Your healing should never depend on someone else's unhappiness. The moment you stop checking their life for evidence of whether they're suffering, you begin taking your attention back. And that's much more important than whether they are watching yours. This is another possibility. When someone is accustomed to receiving attention and suddenly doesn't receive it, they may interpret the change as rejection. And rejection can be difficult for anyone. But for someone with strong narcissistic traits, perceived rejection may sometimes trigger an especially strong response. They may become angry. They may become defensive. They may blame you. They may suddenly act as though they never cared. Or they may attempt to restore their sense of control. This is why it's important not to deliberately provoke someone simply to see how they react. If you are dealing with someone who has previously behaved abusively or unpredictably, prioritize your safety. Your goal should never be, let's see what happens if I ignore them. Your goal should be, what boundaries help me stay safe and emotionally healthy? Sometimes, instead of continuing to pursue you, a person may simply redirect their attention elsewhere. New friends, new relationships, new social circles, more social media activity, more external validation. And this can hurt, because you may think, so they replaced me. But you were never a replaceable object. A relationship ending does not determine your worth. And someone finding another source of attention doesn't mean that what you experienced wasn't real. It means the relationship ended, or changed. Your job isn't to compete for attention. Your job is to decide what kind of relationship you want in your life. And sometimes they come back. Not necessarily with a dramatic apology. Sometimes it's incredibly simple. Hey, how are you? I've been thinking about you. I miss you. Can we talk? And because you spent so long wondering whether they cared, their return can feel like proof. You may think they finally realized, but their return doesn't automatically answer the most important question. Have they changed? That's what you need to look at. Not how emotional the message is. Not how much they say they miss you. Not how strongly they claim to regret losing you. Look at behavior. Have they accepted responsibility? Have they changed the behavior that caused the relationship to become unhealthy? Have they respected your boundaries? Have they remained consistent? Because coming back is an event. Change is a pattern. This may be the most important distinction in the entire video. Someone can give you attention without giving you healthy love. Someone can miss your presence without being capable of treating you well. Someone can become jealous without wanting a healthy relationship. Someone can pursue you without respecting you. Someone can be afraid of losing access to you without understanding how to love you properly. So when someone comes back, don't only ask, do they want me? Ask, can they treat me well? That's a much more important question. Because being wanted and being valued are not always the same thing. And being desired is not the same as being respected. Now let's turn the focus back to you. Because this isn't really about what happens inside another person's mind. It's about what happens when you stop giving your attention away. Every time you check their profile, you're giving attention. Every time you reread their message, you're giving attention. Every time you ask a mutual friend what they're doing, you're giving attention. Every time you spend an hour imagining what they're thinking, you're giving attention. And attention is one of the most valuable things you have. So start asking, where do I want my attention to go? Your work, your family, your health, your friendships, your goals, your future, your peace. Because the goal isn't to make someone realize what they've lost. The goal is to realize what you have been losing by staying emotionally stuck. Eventually, something changes. You stop waking up wondering whether they contacted you. You stop checking their profile. You stop wondering who they're with. You stop analyzing every song, post, or status. You stop asking mutual friends for updates. You stop needing evidence that they regret losing you. And one day, you realize you haven't thought about them for hours, then days, and eventually, maybe even longer. That's emotional freedom. Not because you stopped caring about another human being, but because you stopped allowing their behavior to control your attention. And that's a very different kind of healing. So what might a narcissist feel when you stop giving them attention? They may notice the change. They may feel a loss of validation. They may become confused. They may test whether you still care. They may become unusually nice. They may try to provoke you. They may attempt to make you jealous. They may feel rejected. They may look for attention elsewhere, or they may come back. But here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to know exactly what they're feeling to know what you should do. Your healing doesn't depend on their reaction. Your worth doesn't depend on whether they miss you. And your peace doesn't require them to understand what they lost. So don't take your attention away from someone because you want them to chase you. Take your attention back because your life deserves it. If this video helped you understand something you've been experiencing, subscribe to the channel for more videos about narcissistic relationships, emotional manipulation, boundaries, healing, and relationship psychology. And if you're continuing this series, watch our previous videos. Why narcissists come back when you finally stop caring, and things narcissists do when they realize they've lost access to you. Because understanding the pattern can help you stop living inside it. And remember, The greatest sign that you're healing isn't that they finally notice your absence. It's that you finally notice your own presence again.